So today we have our good friend Lindsey Olson joining us. Lindsay has been a licensed professional for almost 2 decades, global Redken artist for 13 years, and she travels the world educating stylists, inspiring our industry. She has an incredibly dynamic skill set. She specializes in hair color and finishing on all hair types. And Lindsay was the 2020 US L'Oreal Color and Style Trophy winner for natural texture. So you get an opportunity to learn from this awesome human being. Please, in the chat, let's welcome Lindsay Olson.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you. I am so excited. I get to do all those amazing things, but this is one of my favorite things to do, is to be here with all of you guys from all over the world. I see you guys coming in from all over the world, and I am so grateful to have you guys here today because I get to share with you guys some of my favorite things, which is styling. So thanks, Andrew, for an amazing introduction. And as Andrew said, we are going to be doing some modern styling today, okay, so styling's huge because as much as I love hair color, as Andrew says, which I do, and I work behind the chair in a salon, the one thing that's going to show off our work is styling. So I'm going to share with you guys modern wave styling. And what I love about this is I think we've all mastered the beach wave. And a lot of our guests are still looking for like texture and something a little bit different. So I don't know if you guys have seen this yet, but this is what we're using today. So this is one of the newest tools from Samvia, and it's a waver. And I will say it's totally different than any other waver I've ever used before in such a good way. So when I was getting ready, you guys, I got a little excited. Can you see? I think I have 4 mannequins that I started using the waver on because I was obsessed with the results I was giving. So I'm going to give you guys a bunch of options of how you can use the waver for your guests wearing their hair down and for wearing your hair up. So welcome, and thank you so much. I see all your beautiful selves in the chat bar, so thanks so much. We are going to use the chat bar, so if you have any questions, I'm not the only one that's got my eyes on the chat bar, so definitely make sure you let us know as we're going, because this one is for you. So the first thing, if you've ever been in a class with me before, and if you have not, super happy to have you guys here, is I'm really big on how the hair is prepped. So prep, P-R-E-P, type it in the chat box, prep. Prep is so important of how you can get a really good finish to last a long time and not have to rely on like just using hairspray at the very end, which someone brought up. They're like, what's wrong with hairspray? Nothing's wrong with hairspray. But sometimes hairspray doesn't give you the result that you're looking for. So as you can see from my gallery, because I got totally into it with using this waver, I've done some work for you guys already to catch you guys up to where we're at right now. And I know at first glance, when you use an iron like this or a triple waver, sometimes you might be like, how do I make this like work and be like lived in and wearable? Because at first it might freak you out. So this is it looking a little strong and a little dramatic, but if you're like me and you really like lived in effortless hair, this iron is definitely going to be something you have to have, because I'm going to share with you guys one of the looks that's finished that I'm going to take you guys through is like this one. Like, see all of the texture, just all the texture and looseness that has here. And let me tell you too, Diane here, her hair is short, really, really short. So it's a way for us to create all that texture and that volume with one tool. So how do we prep the hair? So first, dry moussing. Type in dry moussing into the chat bar. There are 2 products that I use when it comes to dry moussing. And it depends on the hair texture because not everybody's texture is the same. So dry moussing is what's going to give like the substance to the hair, the guts, the manageability. So that way that when you go ahead and use the next tool or put the hair up, it just kind of like goes up like magic. So if your guest has fine hair, really, really fine hair, it really is the type of hair that lacks the ability to hold. So you want a product that has more hold. I know a lot of our guests with fine hair are like, I don't want to feel the product, but we have to put the substance in them to have them like build up. So I actually use guts on my guests with finer hair. So guests with fine hair need a higher hold. Even Stay High is another great option, but guts from Redken number 10 is my number 1. If your guest has like a lot of hair, like the brunette right there. Oh, that's funny. She's got more hair than her right here because the texture and the density, all of that. So on my brunettes, that have thicker hair, I actually use full frame. So depends on how much density their hair has that would support the style. So if I need more control, I'm going to come in with something stronger like guts. So I'm going to show you what this looks like, of how you work it into the hair. And it doesn't have to become like a super long process, but it does have to be what you do before you do anything else. So prep is key, prep is first. So I'm just going to take a section and I'm going to come in with the guts. And I know some of yours are like, how much would you spray on? So I would spray enough that's going to probably freak all of you guys out right now. So if you're like, wow, that's a lot, say a lot in the chat bar, because it should look like it's like I did too much. If you feel like you put too much product on it, that means that you actually have enough. So we're going to blow dry this in. So hot tip, before you take the blow dryer to it, is take a brush. So I'm coming in with a paddle brush and just give it a swipe through, because if I were to come in with the blow dryer right now, it wouldn't all stay on the hair. So we want to make sure that it stays on the hair when we come in with the blow dryer. Now what you can do is just come in with that blow dryer and just heat it up. So I don't have to have like a lot of direction right now. I just need to melt the product into the hair. So even if I'm just coming down like this, let me just turn it this way. And what you're going to do is you're going to see that the product is going to feel wet and sticky, and then it's going to feel shiny and soft. So wet and sticky first. Don't worry, you did not put too much. Like, it might be tough to get the brush through. You might be like, that feels like a lot. That is actually a good thing. So it'll go through like this phase of like wet and sticky to soft and shiny again. But even though it feels soft and shiny, that hair has more control now that there's that layer of guts or full frame on it first. So just going in and just heating it up and just getting it to the point that now it doesn't feel wet and sticky. It just feels soft and movable. So now what we're going to do is, I already prepped the other side, so don't think I'm leaving that one out. I already prepped the other side. I want to take you through how to use this iron, because I know, like you're saying, like, this one doesn't look lived in and soft, but it will. Trust the process. So what we're going to do is, a big thing that helps with finishing when we're using our irons is the size of the section. So the more like true to the shape of the iron that I want it, the smaller the section I should have. The more that I'm okay with it looking like a little looser and not having as much control, I can take a bigger section of hair to be using this iron on. So I'm going to take a 1-inch section. So I'm going to drop down a 1-inch section of hair. So here's my section. Just isolate the hair out of the way. Take it up another notch of control and using something like hot sets. So remember, her hair is fine, so I can use all of the higher hold products. Brunette, thicker hair, I would come in with using something like iron shape. So it would change depending on the texture of the hair that I have. So if you are doing great so far and already learned at least one thing, type in doing great in that chat bar. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to mist my iron or hot sets all the way down on the strand here. And then I'm going to take a comb and work it through, because hot sets is very strong. So sometimes you will feel like it might need to get all the way worked through. So now when it comes to this iron, there are different temperature settings on it. One power button right here. So it goes from 280 to 430. So again, depends on like your texture and density. For my blonde, I might do something like a 360 or 390. And then for the brunette, I would go up to the 430 because I would need more heat for it. So I'm going to come in now and I'm going to keep my section in just natural fall. Now, I could move it into different places depending on if I want more lift and volume. So I'm just going to come in and I'm going to press. And this iron is amazing. What I also love about it is how wide it is. So you'll see as we work up to the top of the head, I get even more coverage, which helps because it makes me get through this super, super, super fast. So at this point, if you put enough product on and did the prep, this piece should look almost like super stiff, like it's going to be rock hard. But trust me, it's better that you get the control in the finish first, and then we loosen it up.
Kelly's asking, why are you using both products?
That is a great question. I know. So I'm using both products. Like I went in with the guts first to really put that substance and more control over it. And then because my guest here's hair is quite finer, I'm going in with hot sets to add even more control and substance to the hair. So this is going to allow that once I get to putting the hair up, that I don't have to work as hard to put the hair up because the hair has all the substance and control on it. So here is another major hot tip is once you have one section set, no matter what iron you're using, that first section, I took the hair and I sprayed it like this. The second section, now that we have hair that's set here, you really want to spray the hair where there's not finished hair. So thank you so much for that question too, by Kelly. So I'm going to lift my section up, and now I'm going to mist my hot sets this way. So that way I'm not spraying and wetting down the previous work that we already did. Then I can bring my section down, comb it through, and then come in with my waver and just press. And I just follow the ridges. So I just take my iron to that last ridge that I just did and just laying the waver right on top of it. And this iron's pretty, like, what I love about it too is, like, I know obviously we use our hands for a lot of things. I don't need to like press, like it's really just doing the job for me. And all I have to do is just close it. So you don't have to like feel like you have to squeeze the iron. It's just closing it. And again, like I said, if you're starting to get it to look like this, see how like this piece is even like starting to stick out? This means you did it right. So it doesn't mean, I know it's going to look like it's not going to be cool and lived in and effortless cool girl hair, but I promise it will be cool girl hair once we're done with it. So you got to start with it super controlled first and then loosen it up. If we take finishing and we start with it super loose, like if anybody's ever done like a really loose updo before, a loose braid, if we start with it too loose in the beginning, it really kind of loses that control and we don't have the ability to make it loose. It kind of just gets like, you know, that fine line between looking like loose and cool and messy. So I'm going to keep you guys on the loose and cool part versus like it just starting to look messy, because I don't know about you guys, but like I know for a long time it was really hard for me to find that perfect balance of like cool loose and also like it just looks kind of messy. So this is going to help you to stay loose and on the cool side of it. So again, too, if you guys have any questions as we're going, happy to answer them. So here is my next section. Again, lift that section up and spray above so you're not wetting down the sections that are cooling down. Then take your wide tooth comb and just work that product through. And then just coming in with that waver and pressing all the way down. So you can see as I'm starting to get to a wider area of the head, the waver covers it. It is amazing because I was able to work through all these looks yesterday super, super fast. So if I want some volume on the top, I'm going to take the volume, the top together versus working to the left and the right side. So I'm just going to drop down just a little bit so I have a little bit more movement, room to move. And let's turn her around this way, tilt her head back. So just principles of finishing. If I want to merge the left and the right side, I am going to go ahead and take that mohawk version, mohawk shape of my section. So just working up the top, left and right side. And again, I'm still working in those 1-inch sections. But remember, if you really wanted it even looser, you could take bigger sections. So what I would recommend is just like play around with it. Maybe some of your sections are a little bit smaller and some of them are bigger, just to see the result that you get. So again, lifting up my section using that Hot Sets 22, which is an oldie but a goodie. If you have not picked up Hot Sets in a while, when we're using it, like you can probably see how fine her hair is. I need all the control I can get. So that way I can make it look really, really full at the end and have to have minimal effort. So all the effort that we do right now helps us so that like when you're going to put the hair up or halfway up or whatever is the end result, that you don't have to do as much work in the end. So I know like prep might seem like it takes a long time, but I promise you these are the steps that are going to save you the time in the end. So just dropping down, taking another section. And as you can see too, on this top, not only did I take the left and the right side together and I'm doing a mohawk section, as I'm using the iron, I'm lifting the hair up, where on the sides, I didn't have elevation. I just was holding them more straight out. So not only will I get volume because I'm merging the left and the right side together, I'm also using principles of elevation that whenever I have the hair elevated, I'm getting root volume. So this way, if I'm going with something like our updo back there, I'm going to have some volume just by the way that we're positioning the iron. So it's all the little things that I know sometimes like behind the chair, we can get like into that autopilot mode and we just start like setting the hair. But if we just think about the way that we're setting the hair, it's really going to help speed you up at the end. And updos and weddings and styling is a huge part of our business. But I'm also really well aware you can make a ton of money styling hair. Absolutely. And it's something that you want to incorporate. Like for me, I've always wanted to do everything for my guests. So if I had a wedding, I wanted to be able to do the wedding and on all textures. It's been something super important to me. I also know that the time frame for styling and the amounts that the service is that day, you wouldn't want to spend 4 hours doing it because you could do a color for 4 hours and nobody has 4 hours to get their hair styled anyways. So the way that we do things and how much time we can spend on it is also super, super important when it comes to styling. So the faster that we can move through things, even though the prep might take more time, you're going to be able to put up the hair so quick. So yes, she looks a little crazy right now, right? Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. And Jean Bean's wondering if this will hold in fine hair.
So thank you so much, Jeannie. So that is a great question. And that is exactly why we did the prep with the products that we did. So the first thing I did was the dry moussing with Guts 10. So that, I know what you might be thinking is that's going to take time. It is a step that I highly recommend not skipping. So do the dry moussing with Guts 10. And the reason I'm coming in with hot sets versus an iron shape is because her hair is so fine. It's almost see-through when I'm pulling up those sections. So this is really, really good on fine blonde hair with this prep and this iron. So the end result that I'm going for is a really like soft, romantic, undone, effortless, cool wave. So you can wear this down or up. I'm gonna end up taking this one up just to show you guys the options of how fast it goes up. So again, lift that section up. Don't spray the sections that you already did because that'll take away some of the beautiful work that you already created. Work that product through, use a wide tooth comb. And see here, I'm on the sides. I don't want the sides to be like super puffy when I'm putting them back. So that's why on the sides here, my elevation is low and in natural fall, where on the top, I did want some volume. So we took it with an on base direction too. So something super important because I know I've been there and I've seen it happen is like your guest wants like this really like soft like look. And let me know if you guys have been there because I can't be the only one. When you go to pull it up, sometimes by the sides, it's where they feel like it almost looks too wide because if it looks round, it kind of makes like that look like this like a football. So a way to like keep that from happening is to keep a little bit more like less volume, but still movement. So there's a difference between volume and movement when it comes to finishing. So we still want movement on the sides, but we don't want it to be like football, like dome shape on the side of their head because it doesn't feel that flattering. Just one more section here. And like I said, if you guys are just coming in right now, it probably caught your eyes of like, what the heck is going on with this hair right now because it looks crazy. And I know sometimes like a waver in the very beginning, you feel a little bit like, how am I ever going to make this look like soft and lived in and, you know, wearable? And just for even like a daily wear, you can, but it has to start off really structured because with this type of finish, especially on fine blonde hair, if I were to like have the hair super soft right now, as soon as I go to like rake this out with my hands or shake it out, there would be like nothing left. And the goal is to make sure that they actually do have it for hours, or they can turn this into one look on day one and a different look on day two. So thank you guys so much for the amazing comments and questions. I see them rolling through. Thank you. It's amazing to see you guys all here with me today on this Monday morning. So you should be at a point where, yes, she looks a little insane. Trust the process. So, and even if you were to feel this right now, it actually doesn't feel like it looks, but it has the substance to it. So again, this is why it's so important to blow dry in a mousse before. So I went in with Guts first, blow dried it in. And as you saw, it's quick. It doesn't have to take a very long time. And then coming in with a second heat styling protectant hold, which is I'm using hot sets right now. So now what I can do is I want to keep as much movement in here as possible. So I'm not going to use a comb right now. If I were to use a comb though, it would be like coming in with like a tail comb, because we want to just break it up a little bit. So if I were to come in with like a tail comb and start to push some of this back, this will start to break it up, and it'll also help me utilize the movement and the lift at the base. So just breaking this up with the tail comb or your fingers, depends on the option of what you want to use. I would not, don't take a comb like this and rake it through. It's going to merge it all together too much. We really want to see the separation that the waver created to really create that like boho, organic, soft, whatever your favorite descriptive word of these looks that all of your guests are showing you of the hair. So see, like, I'm not gonna, didn't pull it back yet, but like what I want you to notice so far is like when you bring these sides back, you get the movement, but see, it doesn't go, it doesn't make that roundness where then your guest is like, can you just pull it a little bit tighter because it's not as flattering. Where this, keeping that low elevation, but using the waver keeps it flattering, but also keeps it a little bit more subtle and close to the head. So just coming in again, speed it up a little bit, using a combination of a tail comb and my fingers. Now, if you feel like you still need more substance or hold, I am a big fan of powders, hairspray powders, dry shampoos, things like that. So one of my favorites, if I felt like I needed more control, would be Triple Dry 15, which this is a dry shampoo and hairspray combined. So I'm going to ask my guest to politely tilt her head forward. We're going to shake it a little bit. Okay. So she's going to tilt her head forward. I'm going to shake my Triple Dry 15, and I'm going to come from the bottom underneath, and I'm going to get some of the Triple Dry 15 at the base. I picked her up because, you guys, if I were to try to do this, I've done it before, and on camera, she rolls off the stand. So didn't want to have that moment again with you guys. So just keeping it real, just have your guests tilt their head forward. And the reason I have them tilt their head forward is we want the volume to come from the base, right? And this is dry shampoo and hairspray. So sometimes we want more of this effect to happen at the base versus just working it through on the ends. So I'm going to tilt her head a little bit forward with here. And now I can come in, again, just coming in with the tail of the comb. And I'm just going to pick my sections and work backwards. So now I'm picking up my sections and working her hair towards the top because I want to create some more lift at the base. Coming in, you can even just use your fingers and start to shake it out. One thing I've always told my guests when I did updos, weddings, proms, all of that, is that it's going to get worse before it gets better, because I also cannot be the only one that has the moment where you can almost see the freak out happening in front of you. Like they're getting so nervous because it looks crazy. You got to get the hair really to a point that it's pliable and movable and filled in. So we got to now make it nice and big and movement to it. So it's going to get worse before it gets better, but I got you. I swear it's going to be beautiful when we're all the way done. So I know right now you guys might be thinking she looks a little crazy. It's okay. So trust the process. So again, I'm just coming in, kind of just using the tail of the comb and your fingers. And what you should see is everything starting to get really full. Here, I'll flip her. Okay. So now you can see that, like, even with me raking it out, if I didn't put all that control of the product in the beginning and I was raking this out with my hands, we would have like no waves. And I don't want these waves to look like we used a waver. I want these waves to be like, how did you get that perfect, like, cool wave in the hair? So it's not about using the tool and being like, oh my God, I used a waver on it. It's about using the tool and making it look like we did something else, or we did two different tools to it, or a flat iron. But like, look how much volume and texture we get just by using that one tool. So now you guys want to see how we can like quickly put this up. So if you are like me and you always need like other quick updos, type in updo in that chat bar, because I always want like quick and easy ones to teach my guests even how to do their own hair. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the sides away from the back. So I'm just going to isolate the sides away from the back. I'm going to come in and use my dry sectioning clip. And I'm also going to take a good amount of the crown in that section. So what I'm left with is basically just like the back and the nape of the hair. Okay. So just taking the sides and the back, and some of that crown. And now I'm just gonna be left with the nape, okay? So again, here, if you feel like you still like, you could probably tell, like, do you see after all of that product that I did, how soft it starts to look? This is a good thing because it's looking softer, but we have the shape. It looks kind of like we did like braids, which you don't have time for your guests to sleep in a braid and style their hair. So like, to me, this kind of reminds me of, yeah, like a really cool, like, oh, they slept in braids and then they just took it out. So I'm just coming in again with that triple dry, and I'm using my fingers just to break it up more. I really want to expand the hair as much as possible before I start putting it up. So just using my fingers and pushing out, and I want to get it as expanded as I possibly can before I start to like tuck anything away. So we want to push it all out, get it nice and expanded. And do you see, like, you know, even if we were starting to just wear this down, all of that prep makes us be able to have this hair. So if we were to keep it down, it's actually going to look really pretty. So that is the goal. So prep is everything. I saw Nanette in there. She's like up to master as well. And she's like, yes, prep is key. Super, super important. I'm just going to come in now with a loose elastic. I'm going to put the back into a ponytail. So this one that I did back here, her hair was very short and I still was able to make it look really nice and full. So sometimes we need to use the hair that we have more as like a control versus, and like padding versus just having it. So I can come in with a ponytail like this just to create a base. And then on top of it, if I need to make more volume, so I'm going to come in with a elastic and 2 bobby pins, and I'm just going to take my ponytail and flip it up. So put 1 bobby pin on one side and just slide it on the opposite side. And now this will help give me like a base that I can pull the hair, the rest of the hair over. So if I want to add a little bit more strength to this, I'm just going to give it a little bit of a tease. And you see at this point too, I haven't used any extra hairspray. I know I used like 3 products already, but I haven't used any extra hairspray. Not that there's anything wrong with hairspray, but I like to put the control into the finish first. I'm just going to take another little elastic here at the bottom and just tuck those ends in. And now what I'm going to do is just use this to make a base to then pin the rest of the hair in. So the elastic on the top and the bottom. And what you can even do is come in with a bobby pin and slide that into your elastic at the bottom there. And as you roll this down, now you can just use that bobby pin and just start to anchor into place. Just take 1 hairpin on the side. And this doesn't have to, this is not meant to look perfect. This is meant to give us substance to put the rest of the hair over. So this is meant to fill in the hair. And this works even if your guest hair is really, really short. So now we have this base here. So now when I bring, and it depends on like how high you want it. Now when I start to bring the hair back, I have something to pin into and also something that's going to give me some volume. So now I'm going to separate the top from the sides. Now, would I always clip it out of the way? Most likely, because I like to try to stay as organized while I'm working as possible and to keep track of my sections. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that top and I'm just going to put it in the clip so you can also see what I'm doing. I wouldn't have it hanging in my guest's face, but I would get it out of the way. So now what we have right now is here's a little bit of the end of the crown area of the hair. So I want to start to utilize this as a foundation to pin the hair onto and also to start to give detail. If I were to add a hairspray, if I wanted to like have a little bit more like separation, I like using Wax Blast from Redken. So I would come in and just start to spray a little bit of this. And now I can just use my fingers to kind of like separate a little bit of these ridges on the waves and to put a little bit more control onto the finish. You can see from the side now, all that volume that we have here. So if I were to start to pin the hair here, now I have like a base if I wanted to like have a like soft romantic kind of updo look to it. And I could take these ends and just start to put them all together. So here's the sides. We're still going to keep those out. This is just that little layer of the back. If I really had a lot of length to work with, and I wanted to get rid of some of it just to make it easy. Again, you can come in with another elastic and just tuck those ends in this way. So now I can just fold everything in, and now I have all the volume from the sides here. So you guys are doing great so far, and you guys are loving learning some tricks of some styling. I hope I would get to see you guys again at some more education, and super grateful that you guys are having some fun with me today here. Okay, so this is what I'm looking for. I want to see, like, I don't know. I have a lot of guests that for weddings, like the look looks massive. So this is a great way. I do like using forms, but sometimes you don't have forms in the salon. So this is a great way to utilize their own hair to actually make a padding and some substance to work the shape around. And again, I love the look of the waves here that waver created, because I can't get it with any other iron. Like, this is super soft and romantic. And even if we're going to start to cover it up, like, this is like ideal, like dreamy, soft, boho, romantic hair. So now what I'll do is I'll start taking another section from the top, and depends on how much volume you got out of your initial setting. If you feel like you need a little bit more, you could always come in and just give it like a push or two at the base here to then be able to work more of this hair back. So if you feel like you need a little bit more volume, then to add more of this hair, working it away to the back. Again, I really am loving like the separation and the look of this wave. I have not ever seen a waver do it like this. So something I was obviously super excited about. And at this point, like, I could start to pin. You could also like maybe just see what's going to happen to those ends and like how much we want to pin away. And if we're going to maybe want to keep some out. So once we like bring this shape all together. So I'm just giving it a little bit of a push on the top. And again, if I want a little bit more separation as I'm going, I'm going to take that wax blast. Let me bring her a little bit closer so you guys can see. And again, remember, it gets worse before it gets better. I know I cannot be the only one that has experienced that before, and also seen the fear of your guests going, what is happening? But we have to get it to a place of really big and separated before we tuck everything away. So this is what's going to give you more options of like having more hair to work with. So I'm just coming in with the wax blast and picking up these pieces, and you can see from the way I set it, like how much it's actually just able to hold. Don't worry about how this is all coming together yet. You will get there. Just work on a little bit of the details and the hold here. And again, I haven't pinned anything else in. So I just want to keep working the front to the back and see how much volume I want as I'm going. So I'm going to drop down another section here. And here I'll also start to look, let me bring her to the front, like how much volume do I need? Do I need to tease anymore? Or did the iron do enough work for me? So if I just bring this back and I'm using my fingers right now where I'm at, I feel like that's already starting to look like a decent amount of volume. So again, just going to come in and just using my fingers now and just separating. At this point too, if you felt like you needed it, you could use the tail of a comb to separate and lift. Not pinning anything. At this point, you should have enough hold on the hair that you really don't have to pin anything. You can just start to like place it and get an idea of the volume. I know we're not to the final steps yet, so I know it doesn't look exactly how I want it to, but I want to get the shape and the volume in first before I worry about all the details. So once you have, it kind of goes with the same idea of like why I do so much prep. Once you have it like full and like in the position that you want it to, then we can always add these hairpins to like condense or create more separation where we want it. So right now I just want to get like the height and the movement in the place, not worrying about all the details. So that's why I'm just using my fingers and just bringing the hair back and a little bit of a tail comb, and knowing that I can always shrink it down. If you've ever been there before where like you felt like you actually then needed more volume, it's a lot easier to keep shrinking it down to start pulling it back out once you've like overpinned it. So we want to avoid the overpinning and making it really, really tight. So I want this to be super loose and full to the result that we're looking for. So see, like even this, like I love, like I know this looks a little big right now. Don't judge. We're not there yet. Trust. But this is what I'm talking about. Like this movement, this in and out movement. What I love about using this waver is sometimes a curling iron creates too much like ins and outs, where this is in and out, but subtle. So on a lot of different hair textures, this is going to make it look more flattering. There's no like crazy sticking out pieces, and it's super fast to do it. Okay, so I'm going to leave the top a little bit fuller right now, and then start to bring the sides up. So let me move this a little bit so you guys can see. Okay, so now we have the top. Nothing's really pinned yet. Let me show you guys the back. So yes, it looks like big, crazy roundness, full. That's what we want. That's where we want to start to now detail. So now what I can do is take the sides and start to create a little bit more detail on the hair from the sides here. So I'm just going to take this section back here. And again, a really big hat tip, even if you were using a different iron, is always to have low elevation when you're setting the sides, because it's going to create the movement versus the puffiness and the roundness. So now I can take this side and see I have that soft movement, but it's keeping the hair really close to the head. And I can come in, I can even grab a little bit of the hair from the top here and just create like a soft twist like this. So, and now I can pin, I'm going to come in with a hairpin and start to pin to that base that I created with our ponytail. So I'm just coming in with a hairpin and going from the hair that your fingers are by, and then slide it backwards into our area right here. Now I'll go on the opposite side and do the same thing. So I'm just taking a small section, grab a little bit of hair that was from that top, and just twist and pull it to the side. So you guys can tell some of my favorite aesthetics is very like loose boho-y style. I do love a strong shiny finish. And I do have guests that want a really strong shiny finish. I just feel like I also have a very, very high amount of guests and brides that are looking for it to look a little bit more natural and soft than just shiny. Okay, so now we're just pulling this left and the right side. And again, we're still not done detailing everything. Here's one more section here on the side. And again, I'll just slightly turn it. And all of the setting that we did makes it so easy that I really don't have to do too much right now. So I can just pull some of these out, and I can pull more of this out later as we go. And just bringing this left to the right side and pinning onto that base of that ponytail that we created, and just using the hairpins. And we will do one more side on this side. So pretty quick and easy way to throw the hair up. Again, prep, I'm actually going to drop that down and pin that is everything. And this waver, I can't even, obviously by the 4 mannequins that I decided to go on a freaking waver binge last night, and just couldn't get enough of it because I was obsessed with working with the iron last night. I'm like, I have never seen an iron do such cool things. So, you know, originally I was like, oh, I'm just going to show how to do the hair down. And then when I was starting to play with the iron, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing for like all the updo texture. And I am big on using Marcel's. I'm like sometimes can be a really traditionally like styled, especially educated, like using Marcel irons and like creating all of that with that. But this was like so quick and easy. I couldn't even believe it that I had to share it with you guys. I was like, this is insane. This is that perfect dreamy boho texture that all of our guests want, that I'm able to get with like one iron. So this is what I'm talking about, like all that separation there. Okay, so we're actually at a pretty good point, I think, already. If you felt like you wanted more separation, one thing I like to do is come in with a hairpin, and this one's super helpful. So I'm going to get as close as I can to the camera so that you guys can see what I'm doing, because I remember for a very long time, I thought these things, wait, where is it? Okay, I wore the white because I was like, oh, it's like styling, it's pretty. Now let me make sure I can see. Okay, so the hairpins, the little guys, this way. There we go. I used to think these did not hold the hair. These are actually so good because they hold more hair because they are open versus a bobby pin. And they're really great to like keep even more movement into the hair. So what I like to do is if I want even more separation, although like look at all these ridges that we have already, I can come in and I like to take the hairpin and you're basically like sewing it into the hair. So I will have one little like leg of the pin grabbing hair and it's go in and out and in and out and in and out. And then we're going to fold and anchor it in. So in, out, in, out, in, out, and then bring this. So now I've used it as like a sewing. So it's grab some of the hair and then just bring it close to the base. And it's what's going to help create more of these ridges like this right here, but also keep the softness. If I were to grab a bobby pin and do that, it tends to like collapse it too much. So I hope that was super helpful. I'll do it one more time for you guys to see. So let's see. So if I'm coming in and out, so all I'm doing is going in and out with that hairpin and then turning it and then pushing it towards the front. And now, so like if you needed to like anchor or like stretch some of this out, like if you did want to loosen it, you're going to have the option of doing that. So let me show you one more time on this one. So everything's super, it looks like it's so loose, but it's so secure. And that's the other reason I really like using those mini elastics versus all of those bobby pins. Like when we were tucking the hair in, that's also gold. I hope you guys, so see now that gave it like even more separation there. I'm going to come in with that wax blast. And what I'll do is just kind of use my fingers and just pinch a little bit as I have that wax blast on there. But see what I mean? Like this is why that prep was so important, because once I started putting the hair up, I really didn't have to do so much more work to it. So this waver is like gold for, do you guys know that we have the most weddings this year since like 19, I love this tagline. I keep posting it, but I read it somewhere where it's like the most weddings since 1984 is 2022. So not only do I get to share amazing education with you guys here on Zambia, I also have a bridal workshop coming up in Chicago in March. So if you guys are like me and you love styling, or I will even take it this, if you're not great at it yet, but you want to be better, you definitely should check out the workshop they have. It's in my bio on my Instagram too. Okay, so I'm going to do one more on this side because it's super, super helpful to create that like little romantic ribbon. So again, small hairpin. And what we're doing is just taking it and you're just like sewing it into the hair. And then you want to turn it and slide it in. And when I am turning it and sliding in, I am feeling a little bit of the scalp. So it's always got to be like anchoring to something as well. So this is starting to look super romantic. I will say a major hot tip. Well, they're all major hot tips. I have so many things that I want to share with you guys because, man, if I can make something easier, if I can share anything that's made something easier for me, I am happy to have you guys bypass some of the pain. But hair accessories are also something super helpful when it comes to like adding a little bit of detail. So if you did something, let's see, what would be like even a clip, or these are actually like braid clips. And I've used them before, but I'm just going to put in a couple on the side just to give it a little bit of more added dimension. The reason I'm bringing up the accessories is not only is styling what like stops and catches our, you know, people's eyes on social media, but I do think like something in the hair also like helps like catch. So if you're just one, I want you to use this on your guests, of course, but something that has helped me, especially when I'm trying to like show the work on like social media, is I keep accessories at the salon. And if I'm using, a lot of times it ends up being like maybe somebody I work with as a model, and we just put like a clip in. It's just something like even on our flyer, a little point of difference that will help get your work noticed, because I want you all to get all the bookings and I want you to get all the guests and all the brides and have all the success that you possibly can. So if there's anything that I've seen that has helped to do that, and trust me, I'm still always like ready to learn. And this is why I like being a part of brands, because I learn from everybody I work with. But see how like even just a little bit of that, I think breaks it up, even though she is blonde, which if you've ever noticed, a lot of your guests are going to show you pictures of blondes. And I talked about this last time. It is also super important, if your guest is not blonde and they are a brunette, that you either have a hair accessories or hair extension, or also like maybe a picture to show them what it might look like, because their hair is going to read really different than a blonde is going to read on a finish. So something super important. And I know like not everybody can be blonde. It's just not the way of the world. So something like this. I think this is looking, definitely takes it up a notch of like dressiness, but also like that separation to it as well. So here is the other side. If we weren't to have as much detail to it, if we weren't going to have detail, but again, like I am loving what the waver did. So if you guys missed which tool I was using, it is the new waver from Sambia. So it is super, super cool. I'm like, it's not like a triple barrel. It's totally different than any waver I've ever used. And it gave me like the perfect, like effortless soft wave to create an updo for sure. But even like, I'm going to show you guys one more thing. If you guys want to see like one more thing of what I did with it, say one more in the chat bar, because I just want to show you, even if I left some of it down. So this is more of a, just like casual look to it. Let me just raise her up a little bit so you guys aren't looking down on her. Okay. So we started, just so you know, again, this is how it started. Bring this back. So it had to look super crunchy and separated first. So it's got to go extreme to then get to the super soft, cool girl wave. So this looks to me like that perfect dreamy wave that so many of our guests, and I wish I could even have, my hair's not that easy to get to this look, that it's so effortless and cool. So this is how we did this look. But the one thing that I did on top of it is after I raked it out, I did the same thing. I just raked it out with my fingers. And again, if I didn't have so much control in the beginning, by the time we would rake it out right now, there would be nothing left. So super important to still do the dry moussing and to come in with the heat protector and do all those sections and make them really separated. The one thing that I did different on this is at the very end, I just went in with a flat iron. So after I had all the waves here, I just went in with a flat iron and just took the flat iron to a few of the ends just to relax it even more. So using the waver on the whole head and just to relax it a little bit more at the very end, I just went in with a sleeker and just started to pull out some of these ends just to give it more of that like undone feel and a little bit less perfect. So I think that's sometimes like, that was my fear of using wavers is like, how do I make them look not like I used a waver? And the waver to me now is like gold. This is like a tool that I will use on so many people because now I'm like, this waver, the Sambia waver is incredible for me to get like that perfect, effortless, cool wave with such an easy method now. But just running that flat iron just on a few of the ends like this, just took it up a notch again of like that more relaxed feel. And then I just did a simple top knot on the top. And with texture like this, instead of using wax blast at the very end, and I want to make it softer and a little bit more relaxed, I actually went in with an oil. So I just took some argan oil from Redken and just raked my fingers through this way, especially at the ends. So every, not one product's good for like all types of hair. You got to really consider the texture and the density that you're working with. So this is why I went in with full frame for the dry mousse, iron shape with the waver. So because this hair is definitely thicker than the blonde. And like I said, we start here, got to start really separated, really controlled to then get it to this point. And now this will last, even though it looks super soft. Now we're going to have the longevity of it because we did all of those steps to get them into the first place. So I was so excited to share with you guys all of these because I think now more than ever, it's a great time it's a new year. It's a great time to teach your guests a new way to wear their hair down, something that you can teach them how to use, and then they can also do it themselves. Like I think so many of us think it's so easy to turn an iron. How about it, Andrew? And just turn it like this and then do that. And then you have to think it's not that easy for everybody to use irons. So this iron's so freaking cool and it's new and fresh instead of what we've been doing for a little bit of time now.
Yeah, I think that's my big takeaway is just the simplicity of this is so incredible. Yet if you look at it, it doesn't look like any shortcuts were taken, but this was so much faster, quicker, simpler. Like you said, something that our clients can repeat at home. So yeah, I think as hairdressers, we always like to think we need to take the complicated path to get to these beautiful results. And you just proved that's not true. We can keep it simple.
You can, and even like as an educator, I definitely struggle with that. And it's like, but like, what's the point of this? And the point is that we want our guests to feel beautiful, look beautiful, and we want to teach them how to do it too.
Mhm.
So like sometimes it ends up being something simple, but it's, you know, there's a few steps that somebody might have skipped or thought you didn't need when it comes to this to get the longer lasting results. So thanks so much, Andrew. Thank you everybody for being here today. I can't wait to see you again here on Samvia, Redken, or the Bridal Workshop.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And everyone, of course, go follow Lindsay, send her a message. She's awesome. She's super open with her education. So if you need help, I'm sure that she's always happy to help you out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.